And that's when you need to be instant season. So I had a little more warning than that. He called me like about 4:15, I think it was. But I got off work at 5. So anyways, I wish I could say I was more prepared than I was. I should have been, but I put together what I could. I'm really. Mark sees my notes sometimes. He makes fun of me because I'll have like 12 pages of notes, and I'll have, where him and Joe probably have maybe 2 or 3 little handwritten pages this size, and I have every little jot tittle ready before I come up, and so I'm kind of out of my comfort zone when I come up here. I literally just grabbed a piece of paper and started praying and got some thoughts in my head and put them on paper, and I was going to type it out so I could like read it off of my tablet or something, because even I'm having a hard time reading my own handwriting. It's a chicken scratch there, but that's okay. And somebody, I'm trying to think of what the conversation was and who it was with, but somebody had pointed out the other day, made mention of how when you in his strength, his how does it word it? His strength is perfect when in your weakness. How does that sound? I can't quote it right the way it is word for word. But when we are weak, he is strong, is what I'm trying to say. I can't think how that verse goes right offhand. But anyways, and right now I'm weak, so I'm looking forward to see how strong he's going to be. All right. Let's take our Bibles and we'll turn to, I'm going to turn to Job 13. Job chapter 13. Don't stand right now. I don't know that we're going to look at it right at the start. We'll look at it eventually, but I don't know if I'm going to kick off that way. But I might look at it more toward the end of the message here. But I didn't really know what to bring. I know I've had some things on my heart that I wanted to share, and that I hope is a blessing. There's things I don't know, maybe it's just therapeutic for me, but I mean, I'm hoping this is a blessing to everybody, but I wanted to just kind of respond a little bit to Donna passing, and that's been hard to talk about, and I mean, I've, just bring up out of the blue, you tell yourself, that you picture that when you get talking to people and everything, you figure you're going to maybe avoid talking about it, or, just kind of, but it always comes up. It's like, no matter what, I share something, and it's fine, but I mean, I would share something and just normal, typical conversation, and her name's going to come up 2 sentences later, no matter what I do. From me, I'm the one bringing it up, and that's just from being married to her for 19 years, and it's kind of natural. And I tell you, I hope if you have never, and I'm not trying to sound pitiful, don't misunderstand me, but I mean, I hope if you've never gone through it, you don't have to ever go through it, but it is something. It is something, and that is a definite example of when we are weak, he is strong. First of all, I also wanted to thank everybody for any part, and half the people I had to thank are not in this room tonight, but I want to thank those that were so many ways, that so many people blessed me, bringing food, coming over, and keeping company with me, and Mark Mark spent the first night at my house, because he didn't want me being left alone, and I appreciated that. And just everything. People taking care of things, people, business with the funeral home and this and that and the other and stuff. There's just I don't know how anyone could ever do that themselves. You can't. And I do want to, if I haven't said it already, I want to thank everybody, and so many different people have done so much. And I know this was 3 months ago, and it's long overdue, but I do appreciate everything that everybody's done. It's been a blessing, and appreciate prayers. I know that's been a big thing going on too. I appreciate everybody's prayers. Appreciate the food. And the food, I do appreciate the food. There's a lot of food. I don't know how many of you know it, but I mean, I have a fairly big refrigerator, and you could not put everything in. I had family from Georgia in, and y'all from here, and I mean, I think there were people, I don't even know their names, that were bringing food, and then about 3 months later, I realized, where are these dishes? These aren't mine. I gotta return some of these. I still have at least one dish that I don't know who it belongs to, but we'll figure it out. But anyways, I just, there are things in life that, if it's even possible, you can't unsee, or it's very difficult to unsee it, if you will. And that there are some things that will happen to us in life that you don't forget the details, and I imagine that will be the case with this. I mean, I remember that day I went in, and she was on the hospital bed in that spare room, and she'd been pretty much unresponsive for about 48 or 72 hours, I think, or close to it at that point. It was the morning of the 24th of October. I think that was a Friday. And anyway, I walked in there. We had the hospice and the hospice team, and I know it's my co-workers, but they were all phenomenal. Every one of them were phenomenal, and I appreciated every single one of them. I'm not going to name names because then I'll forget one. I did that in an email, but I was back there, and they were giving her, because her condition had declined. She had been unresponsive pretty much for 2-3 days, and they'd been giving her daily visits, and the nurse, Megan is the one who was there at the time. She was in there, and she's wonderful. I went back there. I'd been taking care of stuff and whatever, and coming back there, and I just sat. I mean, Donna's just laying there in the bed, and she's, Megan's taking notes or whatever, and I went in there and just sat down next to her, and just kind of looked at Megan and looked at Donna, and I don't think we'd even said anything yet. It just got sat down, and Donna had stopped breathing all of a sudden, and I looked at Megan for just a minute, and she said, "Oh, she's been having periods of apnea for over 30 seconds. She's been doing that," and so, and that's fine. And then about 40 seconds later, I would guess, I wasn't counting, I noticed she still wasn't breathing. And then I looked at Megan, and Megan looked at me, and we both looked at Donna, and Megan took that, just didn't say a word, she took that stethoscope off her neck and checked her out, and I thought, yep, this is it. And sure enough, she was gone. And I remember right before that, I remember her eyes were facing, her eyelids were mostly shut, but you could tell her eyes were pointing straight up. And but they were open just a little bit on the bottom there, and I could see that. And I just started doing like this to her arm. I was just trying to, you know, soothe her or whatever, just trying to be a comfort whatever way I could. But I just took my fingers and started going like that, and she just relaxed. And then her eyes, I could see her eyes going down like she was trying to, you know, like she knew I was in there maybe, or was trying to find where I was standing, or I don't know what. She looked down. It looked like she was looking down, trying to look at me. And that was right before that last breath. But there's some things you just don't unsee. I played that scene over in my head 100,000 times, and I don't know why. It's not like, I mean, you know, we all know where she is. And that's, I mean, you couldn't ask for more than that, you know. And God has been so good. Even before that, during that. But it's just, I close my eyes, and sometimes I'll just play that scene in my head, and it just goes over and over again. And it's not like it's a nightmarish thing that's going to go away, you know, that I can't get rid of. I don't mind playing it over in my head, but it's just I guess I'm just saying, you don't forget that kind of thing. And when that happened, it was 10:10 in the morning. I don't know what it is about 10:10. I was born at 10:10 in the morning, the day I was born. Her father died at 10:10 at night when he died, and then now Donna passed away at 10:10 in the morning. I don't know why we're 10:10 people, but anyways, that's what that was about. But anyway, you know, people, they say how you know, widows and widowers. I know widowers that, I mean, they lost their wife, and then, you know, you hear the stories how they go in the room, they get something in the room, and they holler out to them to ask them something because they couldn't find something or whatever, and just for a second there they forgot that she's gone, you know. And I hadn't done that. I had many times, and this is more my style anyways, I had many times gone to the fridge in the middle of the night and I'd catch myself trying to be really quiet so as to not wake her up. But I hadn't hollered out to her. The night before last, I hollered out. I was asleep, and I was kind of half asleep and half not asleep, and I could have swore I heard her voice calling my name. And I just as loud as I could, yeah, because I'm sleeping on the couch right now, or I was the other night. And as loud as I could, I said, yeah, and then woke myself up, woke the cats up, and realized what was going on, and that's the first time I've done that. But I remember walking up, and I know this sounds like a real morbid, sad way to start the service. This will get better here. But I want to give God the glory.
Amen.
He has been so wonderful, and he never ceases to amaze me. You know, I can pray with you know, very little faith. He's still there. He hasn't left. He's still there to comfort. The biggest thing I asked for through all this was grace. And I am amazed at the amazing grace he has blessed me with. People ask me, how you doing? How you making it, you know? And I know a lot of people are worried about me. I don't even have kids that have grown up there that I can lean on to take care of me. I'm just on my own now. And that's okay, because God's there with me.
Amen.
And But His grace, I mean, I have had noticed myself, I felt like after 2 or 3 weeks, I had felt like I was doing better than I would have thought I was going to be doing. And I've heard 2 or 3 other people volunteer talking to me. Joe was one of them. I think Mark might have been one of them. But there were 2 or 3 others that volunteered, expressing to me, they said that you do seem like you're doing better than I thought you would be doing. And I mean, God is that good. And He knows what it's like to be us. You know, He knows what it's like to be in human skin. You know, Jesus was, I've heard Frank say it many times, Jesus was God in human skin. And there are some things we just don't know what it's going to be like until we experience it. I remember at the family night, I was not ready for that. I walked up. I wasn't there right at the top of the hour, but I was there early in the time frame. And I walked up. I walked in in that room. This is at Brumley's, and this, you know how most of us know how big that room is in there, where they have the visitation nights and stuff. And I walked in that room, and I saw a couple of people and waved at whatever, and I just started walking up there toward the casket like I was, I mean, just the same pace as anything else, like Joe was asking me to song lead or something. I mean, I was just normal, brisk pace, and I get about halfway there, and I made eye contact, and I saw her, and that's when I stopped, and I said, whoa, I wasn't ready for that, because I hadn't seen that yet. And so it took me a while. It took me probably, I think, about 15, 20 minutes. I got about halfway up there, and I saw that, and I stopped, and I just stayed where I was for a while and just kind of breathed and talked to a couple people, and then a little more slowly, but I went up again and cut that distance in half pretty much. And I still wasn't ready to get all the way up there. But I did get up there, and I was asking God for grace and asking Him to help me with that the whole time. And He did.
Amen.
He did. And it's incredible. I just want to give God glory. I mean, I could talk all night about that. And there's no reason to talk all night about it. But I mean, it's when we are weak, He is strong. I didn't even have that in my notes. But that verse came to mind a minute ago, and it seems quite appropriate now. But when we are weak, He is strong. We draw nigh to Him. James 4:8 says, He will draw nigh to us.
Amen.
And it's just, I'm still kind of stunned. It's been 3 or 4 months now, and I'm just still kind of, because everything is so different. Everything is so different, and so nothing is normal, is what you typically would call normal. It's not like life was. And again, that's not me being pitiful. I'm just saying, my life is so different, and yet God reaches down and He touches me, and He reaches down and helps me and ministers to me in ways that I didn't even know I needed it. And it's real sad. I'll say this, and I'll grind it down to what I came up here to talk about. But how many of you know who Hachiko is? I preached about it a few years ago. I think it was once. I did in New York, and I think I did here once. But Hachiko, you know the movie Hachi? Have you ever heard of the movie Hachi? It's based on a true story. Biggest difference is it was in Japan, the true story was.
Is that the dog?
Yeah, the dog.
Yeah.
Hachi Back in the 1920s, there was a man. I ran into this just Googling one day, looking for preaching material, and I used it. Then the movie came out. But back in the 1920s, as I understand it, there was a man who was a professor at a university in Japan, and the way he got to his job was on the train. He had a dog that he had bought or whatever, I don't know. But he had a dog. It was the Akita breed, which is really known for their loyalty and their intelligence, as I understand it. But he would go to the train every morning to go teach at the university. And that dog would follow him all the way to the train. And would part with him right there when he gets on the train. And then every day in the afternoon, at the same time, every day, he'd come back on the train and the dog would be right there waiting for him. He didn't hang around the whole time. He knew when to come by and meet his master there. And anyways, the professor, after about a couple of years of that, I think it was, the professor, just like any other day, went to teach at the university. While at the university, had a heart attack and died at the university. So he didn't come home on the train that day. And that dog came to meet him at the train, and for the next, every day, for the rest of that dog's life, which was over 9 years as I understand it, that dog every day came to that train stop at the same time of day, every day, looking for his master. And when I first read about that, I thought, man, there's so many sermons right there. You could, oh my gosh, don't lose faith. Keep looking at the master, looking for his return. Oh, there's so many things you could preach out of that. And that dog kept coming everywhere. Heat, cold, snow, ice, whatever. And it was at the same time every day. Finally, the dog died. And that was, he became so well known, they actually have a bronze statue of him, of the dog, at the Shibuya train station. I think it was called Shibuya train station in Japan. And I brought all that up because I got thinking, I'm talking about Donna and all this, and you know about our cats. Most of you know we have 3 cats. And we have, one of them bonded with me. That big, huge panther of a Maine Coon I got is bonded with me. But the Calico, the oldest one, bonded with Donna a lot. I mean, just as much. And she was around longer, the Calico was. But Donna, because she was home more, as her condition got worse, and she'd be on the phone, and she'd go in the restroom, she'd go in that main bathroom we got in there, and she'd be on the phone, she'd be in there a while because she's on the phone, and then of course the cancer did its stuff and made that worse too, but so she ended up spending a lot of time in there, and that cat would follow her. That cat would hear her go into the bathroom from the other side of the house, and she would go running into the bathroom to go jump on the counter and get next to Miss Donna, and so she could pet her and all this and that and the other. And I couldn't help but think about the Hachiko story, because when Donna passed, I took those cats and I put all 3 of them in the other bedroom, because I didn't want them darting out while they got the stretcher and they're going back, in and out of the house with that. And so, Callie, the Calico, one minute Donna's there, and then when I let her out of the room, she's not there. And would you know, except for when she's eating out of her food bowl, or drinking water, or at the litter box, that cat, a majority, I'm not going to say every minute, but a majority of the time, that Calico is in that bathroom at the foot of that commode, like she is just sitting there in the corner, like she's just looking for Donna to come back. She is still doing that. And it's just amazing to me. I don't know. I just, I know there really was no real point to that, but I did want to tell you about that. But anyways, I wanted to bring up Don. I wanted to thank y'all, and I wanted to also, I just wanted to give God the glory, because He has, He is, there is nothing like Jesus. There is nothing like God.
Amen.
When you need comfort, when you need provision, when you need wisdom, when you need anything, the world doesn't have anything that matches with Jesus. And the world has its things that you know, that they think will help when you're hurting. And but in the end, you really are just hurting all the more. And it never does satisfy you in the first place. But Jesus will satisfy you. Jesus will give you, He will take care of you. He will supply every need. He will, and when I say supply every need, I don't mean just, you know, finances. I mean, He helps you there too. But He helps with, you know, your emotional needs, your material needs, your health needs, your whatever.
Amen.
You know, your car's not running, you got to get to work need. I mean, just fill in the blank need, and He can help you, and He can make it happen if we just keep our eyes on Him.
Amen.
And keep looking for Him, like Hachi. I had, you know, as I was going through this and going through the last couple, 2-3 months, it's something to go through, but I've learned, and as a hospice chaplain, before Donna was even sick, as a hospice chaplain, I had told people for years, you know, don't try not to focus on the unpleasant. Don't try and focus on the what hurts. Try and focus like the one who loses their spouse. I would tell them, you know, don't look at the years, you know, the nasty now and now, the years of time that you don't have with your spouse. Be thankful for the time you did have with your spouse. And I mean, it almost seems mean to say it this way, but you know, He could have just not let us have a spouse in the first place. You know, anything better than burning in hell, which is anything on earth, anything in life, anything in this universe that we can have is better than, it is a blessing that we really don't deserve, and we have Him, we can be thankful for. And sometimes we just get thinking over time like we deserve more. Gosh, I wish I could have more. We get like greedy in our heart or whatever, and we feel like we need more. You know, we shouldn't have to go through this. Well, you know, what did Jesus go through? You know, He went through a lot. He went through more than any of us did, and He did it purely because He loved us. He didn't have to, but He did. And as I'm going through this, and I'm you know, thinking about tonight, and I'm just going through this and just kind of, you know, spending time with God and trying to, you know, just feel my way through this fog. And this verse came to mind. And again, not trying to sound pitiful, but I mean, if, you know, I can't really think of anything more challenging that I've gone through. And I know there's plenty of people who've been through a lot more than I have even now. But I got thinking of this verse here in Job 13, verse 15. Though He slay me, yet will I trust in Him.
Amen.
But I will maintain mine own ways before Him. I look at that verse and I'm thinking, you know, a lot of people, I mean, I don't know how many, but a lot of people, when they lose their spouse or they lose their parent or they lose someone close to them, again, something I've noticed as a hospice chaplain, they either will cling all the more to God or they will get mad at God and go the whole other direction. This is not a time, in fact, there is no time to go the other direction, away from God. It's no matter how bad it gets, and I'm not failing to be sympathetic. I understand life can be so hard and harder than anything I've been through, but no matter what we experience in life, that verse is still there. And that verse still says, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. It is never a time to get mad at God and go in the other direction. And even if we do, the sooner the better. It's never too late to turn around and go running back to him like the prodigal son.
Amen.
Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. I don't feel like he's slain me. He's allowed some hard things, some challenging things to go through in my life here this last year. But I wouldn't call that slaying me. I mean, it could be a lot worse. And I will still trust in him.
Amen.
I will still trust in him. When I wake up in the middle of the night and I call Donna's name out, and I don't hear a response, I can still trust in him. When I am so, so down because I'm just having an off day combined with everything else, and I just there's been a handful of days I walk into the house at the end of the day around 5 or 6, and all I want to do is just bury my head in the pillow and not take, I got so many responsibilities and I don't even want to look at it, I've had days like that. And it's okay. Don't be hard on yourself if you're ever in a situation like that. Don't, you're human. And I'm not saying use that as an excuse, but I mean, it's okay. We're going to have, I'm the kind of person, if I'm not doing something till 9:30 at night, I feel like I'm being lazy and wasting time. I gotta be doing something constructive. But and after that, I would just go to bed or whatever, relax. But there's times of hours before I wouldn't even get started with the things I had to do that day, and I'd be tempted to feel guilty. But I'm only human, and it's okay, and it's okay to be there. And if we don't do everything that we maybe should, and one day, hey, you know what? There's tomorrow. It's good. It's okay if something trips you up. If you fall on your face. If your day is you're just having a really bad day. Whatever you're going through, whatever, and it seems like the circumstances are controlling you as opposed to you being in charge of your circumstances. I mean, it's okay to have days like that, but just don't stay there. That's something I found out. Just don't stay there forever. You can get back up tomorrow. Don't get down about yesterday. Just get back up. God is still there. He didn't leave you. He didn't forsake you. He's still there. We can still draw nigh to him, and he will still draw nigh to us. And he is still our comforter. He is still greater than he that is in the world. He is still the God he's always been, and he still loves us.
Amen.
And those are things the devil would want you to forget, not think of, especially during a situation like that. But there's days where sometimes I know with me, there were days I just had to stop. All I could do just stop and breathe. That's all I could do. And I started to let it get me down, but you know what? God still has me here. And I don't care if I didn't get anything done. I could have taken 5 steps backward that day. It doesn't matter. I mean, God still has me here, and because he has me here, I know he still has a reason for that. which means my life still has a purpose, which means I still can be involved with His work, which means I can still be, you know, be blessed with the privilege of being able to serve Him. There's nothing greater than that.
Amen.
And anyways, but that's what I wanted. That was the verse I wanted to share with you, and I just wanted to just kind of, that was anything but a 3 points and poem message, but that's what I felt led to share with you tonight.
Amen.
And though He slay me, yet will I trust in Him. Maintain my own ways before Him. Brother Bob, I'll let you.
Everybody got a prayer list?